Good day, Philippines. Good day everywhere in the world. Good day, our
Mm.
Filipino athletics community. This is Coach Airnel Abarra of Ateneo de Davao University and PhD student at the University of Physical Education in Budapest, Hungary. We started this track talk Tuesdays because especially now that we are on the challenges of COVID-19 and we have limited interaction towards different athletes now that we cannot do of our activities. Andrew and I, who co-founded Pinoy Athletics, are doing this series of chats and interviews to our athletics community and of course athletics staff, national athletes, so that our fellow athletes, both local and also outside of the Philippines, can also hear their side, especially in these challenging times. Right now, we are thankful that we were given the chance and opportunity to interview one of our best pole vaulters, women pole vaulters, not only the Philippines, but in the Southeast Asia and the Asian levels. Join us in welcoming Miss Natalie Uy. Yay!
Hello.
Okay, so
Hi.
yeah, I hope that you're doing fine again, and then also send our
Hmm.
greetings to our audience. By the way, this is a pre-recorded interview, then it will be broadcasted or uploaded to Pinoy Athletics website. So as part of our agreement, of course, I hope that you agree in everything that we record here, and of course, the data policies included. Is it okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So rest assured that this, of course, it only reflects your personal opinions, and of course, it doesn't reflect any of our national sport associations whatsoever. And also, this is only for human interests and both public and also private, and with all the intent of bringing better ideas towards athletics. And of course, it doesn't represent the Philippine athletics as a whole. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we could get started. Of course, we
Okay.
have our agenda for this afternoon or day that, of course, basic info about yourself, and then also the things that you like about for athlete in the being an athlete for the Philippines, and also your goals, and of course, our final thoughts. So, of course, the floor is yours to tell something about yourself and how did you get involved to pole vault and why pole vault aside from other disciplines.
Yes. So I started pole vault when I was 17 years old. Now I'm 25. So just 8 years ago, I started. I started doing many sports when I was growing up. I started doing gymnastics and volleyball and basketball. And as I grew older, I started to run track. And so I was doing many different disciplines such as high jump and hurdles and long jump. And I had a coach who asked me if it would be possible if I would like to join pole vault. And so pole vault was a really great combination for me since I had a background in gymnastics. And pole vaulting is a kind of a combination of gymnastics and track where you run and then kind of do a gymnastics movement with a pole, obviously. And so it was a really great combination. And yeah, so I started just pole vaulting my second to last year of high school. And then as I continued, it just continued to open up more doors. And I ended up going to university for it and then now continuing after.
Okay, thank you. So far, how did you get involved for playing to the Philippines? What inspired you to take part, to being part of the Philippine national team in athletics?
Yeah. So growing up in the U.S., the Philippines was always kind of a mystery to me. My dad obviously is Filipino, and he grew up in the Philippines, and all of my family is in the Philippines. And so I really had a desire to represent this other half of me. And so when the opportunity arose, I made sure to jump on it and really try to get my foot in the door and be able to have the ability to represent the Philippines. And it's been actually an amazing experience being able to come over and spend time with my family and really get to know this culture.
Wonderful. So, on our second topic, what are the three things that you like being the most as an athlete for the Philippines, as a national athlete? three things that you like. It could be experience, it could be an event, or anything, or values that you like. Only three things.
Yeah. So let's see. That's hard. I love being an athlete for the Philippines. There's so many amazing things about it. The first thing is that just getting to represent such an amazing country and getting to represent such amazing people that are just fanatics about the sport and are really supportive. Um, and so then getting to travel, I've gotten to just go around Asia and really represent the Philippines in the Asian Championships, and then in places like Thailand and Qatar, um, and then the Southeast Asian Games, getting to host the Southeast Asian Games and then be a part of that was such an incredible experience. So I would say getting to represent the Philippines is my first. Getting to travel and compete for the Philippines and see the world as I'm doing it, and third, having the opportunity to continue my athletic career with the Philippines, because if I wasn't able to compete for the national team, I would be doing a 9-to-5 job right now, which is definitely not as fun.
Yes, I understand that. So yeah, you have those things set in mind. So far, next is right now, what are the three things or goals for Philippine athletics and could be that you like to achieve, or either personal or professional goals that you'd like to achieve? Three of them for the next season, or could be what would be the your aspirations in the future?
Yeah, so my three aspirations are first to jump as high as I can. And if I jump as high as I can, that will definitely bring me to the Olympics. So I really want to jump as high as I can and go to the Olympics and be the first female pole vaulter to represent the Philippines ever. So that's my first goal. My second goal is to make awareness of track and field in the Philippines greater. I would love to share my experiences and share my knowledge that I have about track and field. I have dreams of being able to teach not only kids, but teach coaches kind of like the base knowledge, so that, because obviously I can't stay and coach all of the kids all the time, but I think it would be really cool to have kind of like a coach's clinic and teach them the basics of track and field, so that then they can go on and continue to teach the grassroots athletes, and we can continue a tradition of winning in track and field. And that's not only in pole vault, that's in track and field in general, but of course my heart is with pole vaulting. And yeah, and then of course I would just like to be an inspiration for girls for girls in sports. So like I said, my heart is with pole vault and my heart is with track and field, but I grew up doing many sports, so I would love to be able to inspire girls to continue pursuing their dreams, whether that would be in soccer or basketball or swimming or anything. And yeah, hopefully, I know that sometimes funding is difficult for kids to get into the right situation so that they can train. So somewhere in the future, I would love to be able to figure out how to get funding for girls to continue sports. Not girls only, but kids to continue sports.
Nice. And so far, in your stint in the Philippines, especially when we met during when is that, the 2019 National Open in Ilagan,
Yes.
how do you find it? How do you and what things to
It was so much fun. It was definitely way more than I expected. I was treated so well. You know, this was my first time ever competing for the Philippines, was when I went to Ilagan. And I was just treated so well. Everyone was so welcoming and so kind and so friendly. And then on top of that, it was just so much fun because we had the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony with the fireworks and the singing and the audience. And it was really just amazing. I had just had the time of my life. It was so fun to be able to see the people, to come in contact with them, and to just be immersed in the culture and with the people of Ilagan City. It was amazing.
Good to hear. And right now, since we saw that the Olympic qualifiers went on a standstill, when do you plan, given the situations, if things will be better, when do you plan to aim for qualifier? What would be the early?
Yeah, so now that I have a whole year, I will continue training throughout the summer, and we'll see if there are any meets in July or August. I have a presumption that there will not be any meets with the COVID virus, but it will give me a chance to continue to train through the summer and the fall, and next January, December, January, February, I'll have indoor season and then outdoor season to continue to try to get the Olympic standard qualifying mark.
Wonderful. I hope that you will consider the rescheduled Golden Spike in Ostrava, because that's the always the place.
Yes.
Yes, that is, you saw it many times. I think EJ Obiena joined there last year. I was not able to go there because it was in June. I was still in the Philippines that time. But given the situation, I think they rescheduled it for 2021. So I think 2021 will be a jam-packed season for athletics, because the first is, of course, the championships, the Olympics, and I think, of course, in 2022 will be the World Athletics Championships in Oregon. And then in 2023,
Yeah.
we will meet in Budapest.
Yes, that would be so great.
Yes, and it will be memorable for me on a personal note, because that's the year that I'll be hopefully completing my PhD that time. Of course, just only for the information of our audience. Yes.
Wow, very cool. What is your PhD in?
About sport and society at the University of Physical Education. Sociology of sport in other universities. But since our university has the only doctorate school in sports sciences, and we are composed of 3 departments, the training, the social sciences and sport, and the sports science. So I'm the one in the sports science department. So sports science in department. So we're studying sociology of sport, about physical culture, and I'm thankful that at least here in Budapest that we are given the chance to explore different ideas and concepts. And of course, the language barrier exists, but I must say that they're very accommodating. And on the knowledge, or for the information of our audience, I think I'm the pioneer Filipino student. Of course, I want to brag it, because they're always saying this to me, that I'm the first one. So
that's very cool.
yes, and they have very good athletics community. Many
very cool.
coaches, and I hope to integrate further, because of course they're accommodating, but of course with the challenges on language, I think that's the reason why it will take me some time to know them. But everywhere in Europe, especially in Germany and Czech Republic, at least I can visit some of the meets, because I know 2 great clubs, one in Mannheim in Germany, then in Munich. If you know Alexandra Borghardt, once in a while there are chances that I met her, and of course in Ostrava in Czech Republic, where the Golden Spike is happening, and it is the World Athletics Challenge. So most of the records, it's like a precursor to World Championships once in a while. Why it's a very, very good event. So
yeah, very cool.
yeah, and I hope that when things went well, we could definitely see you. And then, by the way, if given the chance, when will you be back in the Philippines for training or any other engagement?
Whenever we have a meet there, and that given that it aligns with my training for the upcoming Olympics. So I know that we were supposed to have the National Open, but that's obviously not happening. And so we'll see the upcoming year. I know that the Asian Games were going to happen this upcoming year, right? But I don't know what the plan will be with that since the virus. So
yeah, exactly.
So I think everyone's kind of just waiting and watching to see what's going to happen with the virus, because that's really what's going to determine it.
Exactly, because of course with all the things that happened recently, I think everyone needs to get used to the situation and to find ways to train, of course, within their comforts of their home, or if they have the gym, or mostly
right.
even here that the university on a standstill. I still seeing people once in a while still doing their, especially the strength and conditioning units, especially the weightlifting team. I think they're going still at the hall, but of course, like only 3 to 4 of them training once in a while. So it's really a challenge for them because they cannot go inside the gym. So they're only the hallway of the dormitory as their training ground. So it's really,
Training, right.
especially the swimming team. I know that the swimming team of Hungary is, of course, a little challenge.
Struggling.
Yeah, struggling with the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other things. Um, what since we already wrap up most of our agenda, so any final thoughts or messages before we can go for any other discussions for 5 to 10 minutes? That message before
um,
I cut the actual interview.
I just want to say thank you to the Philippine athletics community, Pinoy athletics community, for being so supportive and just being such amazing a fan base, and really supporting our athletes and making us feel welcome, and yeah, making us feel welcome and supported. So just want to say thank you to everyone.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for giving us the time and the opportunity to have some updates with you. And we hope that in the next season, of course, it's our aspiration and our prayer that you qualify for the Olympic Games and, of course, the World Championships. And
Yes.
I know it's a very elusive dream to seek for a medal, but of course, if time, of course, is, of course, if it's really meant for you, then
Mm-hmm.
we are hoping that you can really make it to the Olympic Games and to the other
Yes.
higher meets and be considered as one of the new image or a face of Philippine athletics, because it's been a while that we haven't seen athletes that can really, from the Philippines, who can really speak and also would be an icon, of course, in our sport.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and I hope
Thank you.
and then that's it for our track with our national pole vaulter, Natalie Uy. This is Coach Airnel Abarra of
Thank you.
University of Physical Education and Ateneo de Davao University, and of course, a co-founder of Pinoy Athletics. Till next time, and thank you.
Bye.
Uh, stop. One moment. Okay, good evening, Philippines. More my co-host. Okay, admit. Uh, hello and hello, Natalie. Are you there? Good. Uh, okay, we're now live. Good evening from Philippines. Natalie, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I cannot. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you see
Wait.
me?
Yes. Okay. So I think the angle of your camera is on a little lower.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
How about there?
Okay, that's better. Make it
Okay,
lower, higher,
I
higher,
can't see myself.
because
Look.
I don't know because okay, we will stop the share and then we'll see what happened. Okay. Okay, I
Oh,
think it's
there we go. Now I can see myself. Okay, is that
okay.
okay? Angle?
Yes. Okay. So I'm just waiting for Andrew. So we're live on both on as I mentioned, it happened that you gained some following with our announcement. So we're live both on Zoom and on Facebook Live. So we're
Oh,
simulcast.
awesome.
Yeah. So we're simulcast all over the world for the Philippine athletics community. And so far, we are having like 3 followers on Facebook, and at the same time, waiting for others to come in. So, um, okay, so Andrew is coming in. So it's Andrew who will ask a question. So I hope you're doing good there in Kentucky. Still
Uh,
in your.
I'm actually in Atlanta at the moment.
Okay, yeah, but as you mentioned, you're based in Kentucky, right?
Well, it's in the middle of changing.
Okay, okay. So we might see on that. Okay, Andrew, are you there? So good morning there in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, or early morning. I think AM in Australia, right? So 3 different time zones here in Hungary in Budapest. It's 4 in the afternoon. There in Central United US, it's 10 or 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Eastern time, and
10
there.
a.m. Yep.
Okay. So Andrew, as I mentioned again, good evening to our friends all over the world, especially in the Philippines. Welcome to a very special extra edition of Pinoy Athletics, because we haven't really announced this like until that I think the time that you confirmed a day after, a day before, that's the time that we already announced this. So until you said yes, we haven't announced it. So that's the reason we call it a very special edition, because it's not the usual track talk that we're having, because usually it happens every 10 the afternoon Philippine time, or it would be like somewhat like you're already on on bed if that happens. So that's why we adjusted that on the time that at least it's preferable to you, which is morning. So we are welcoming you, Natalie, and thank you for accepting our invitation. You're very generous and very open towards our
Yes,
invitation
of course.
every time that we are inviting you the Track Talk for Pinoy Athletics. Pinoy Athletics, as you mentioned, is an independent online news and views and community dedicated to the Philippine athletics community, whatever the affiliations is. So, Andrew, how are you doing? Um, okay, so yes, Andrew, you're still on mute, so kindly unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Andrew, say your greetings, and then I think you'll be the one asking first the questions, and then I will do the second round of discussions. So
Uh,
the summary for this evening is, first is tell something on your recent um, last time that you equal or at least broke the Southeast Asian record for women's pole vault. And of course, Andrew will do the first set of questions, and then I will do the second round, and then we will the total time will be at least mostly an hour or so. Is it good for you, Natalie?
Yeah, just maybe just 1 hour.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
We will make sure it's only 1 hour because, of course, we understand that you need to train or you need to do other tasks. Okay, Andrew. So first is, of course, tell something, some recap of what performance you did last time. How is it, and how it happened, especially there in United. Of course, even all over the world, that there's the concerns about with COVID-19. So what happened? Can you tell us like briefly what happened on the competition, Natalie?
yeah, so there's a competition in South Carolina, and there's been some competitions in Atlanta, Georgia, that I've been able to come to and come in to compete. And yeah, fortunately, there were some girls there that were able to elevate the competition, and we were able to have a good atmosphere and an exciting atmosphere. And yeah, I was able to jump a pretty good mark, so I was happy.
Did you prepare of course, you're training quite fine, as you mentioned on our last discussion during the onset of COVID, that even with all the limitations, at least facility there in United States remain open. So at least, so it's like the usual training that you've been doing. So, but is there any special considerations aside from, of course, the distancing and the sanitation procedures? So how's the audience, so that the people can understand how it happened that there's a pole vault competition even there's a pandemic? By the way, in what state or city that the competition happened? Hope you don't mind.
The competition was in South Carolina, in Greenville, South Carolina.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there how is the audience there? Because of course, it's I'm sure there's distancing or there's a limitations or restrictions on the participation of the audience in the training or in the
Yeah, there was some audience, but they were distanced and all wearing masks, and we're all or they were all spread apart. It was in a really open area, so yeah, they took precautions.
Okay, yeah. So Andrew, your turn.
Okay. So again, Natalie, thank you for joining us tonight. Well, tonight here and different time zones across the world. My query is, having leapt 4 meters 30 with another 40 centimeters or so to bridge before the Olympic Games is held next year. Is there any sort of outline at the stage of what competitions are lined up that you have lined up to prepare for the year, for the 12 months or so ahead, leading up to like that qualification?
It's pretty up in the air. I would like to be able to come back to the Philippines and do some competitions over there in Asia. I know there's talk of some of the Asian championships happening, but with the virus, it's not so sure what competitions will or will not be happening. So at this point, I'm unsure of what competitions I have lined up yet.
Okay.
So hopefully there'll be some.
Yes, we are hoping that at least the restrictions for COVID-19 here in the Philippines, unfortunately, with the rising cases, this is my personal point of view. I see that I'm seeing that I think it will be on late 2020, and that the competitions will resume if, of course, it depends on what the interagency task force for infectious diseases or the specific agency of the Philippine government who's in charge on managing the pandemic in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I will continue. Second question you have?
Okay, so in regards to the first question, obviously it's basically a case of what meets are available in the next 12 months or so. Would meets also on the European circuit be considered as part of the preparation for the next 12 months?
I would like to. It would just be a matter of if I would be able to travel over there. Depending, there's so many factors that go into traveling to Europe from the US. It's a matter of having the funds to travel over there, making sure I'm jumping high enough to be in those meets, and having the connections to get over there. So
Yep.
there's lots of there's lots of factors going into that.
Yeah,
Yes.
when he was in his prime, I think that having those exposures back in 2016, it really helped Eric Cray be able to get that qualification for the 2016 Olympics and the 400 hurdles. I mean, he ran his PB over in Madrid of 48.98 at one of the World Challenge meets. So at that point, he was being supported. He was being sent like all over the world to places like Japan and obviously Europe to run some races there to get in the into the events where he would have the right amount of challenge to be able to like hit those qualification times.
Right.
Yes, in relation to possible participation in Europe, of course, the funding and of course the logistical and the health concerns came to our mind. But as far as since I'm here in Hungary, they're now trying to resume the competitions. In August 2019, it will be the first international event for Hungarian athletics, the Gyulay Memorial Fil-Heritage. So there's another one in Ostrava in Czech Republic on September 8th. Those are World Athletics Challenge events. So I hope that if the resources and the things went good for you, then aside from competing there in the United States, I hope that your of course our managers can really discern to go here in Europe because they're trying to resume now the events here, especially in Germany. They have now like 3 major events, but of course with all the restrictions, etc. So at least, of course, the travel can be really very tricky nowadays, especially with the pandemic. So of course, US could be really the first option for you to really hit the Olympic standard for the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Andrew, your turn.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading an article earlier. I think it was from Track Nation or one of those groups. Do you consider the fact that the Olympics has been postponed in some way a bit of a blessing, because it obviously means you've got a lot more time to qualify for the event than you initially had it pushed through in the year 2020?
Yeah, I definitely see it as a blessing. For me, it's been kind of a interesting path getting to where I am now, and so it's been difficult finding the right training situation, the right coaches, the right everything. There has to be kind of this recipe of all moving parts in your life for success on the track. And it's been quite a difficult ride to get there. And so I think with another year to have those kind of things straightened out, I think it's definitely a blessing to give me that time to get those things right so that the things on the track can go well.
Exactly. So it will be very interesting to really see how it will happen with the scenarios that we're having for 2021. There's always, of course, this is just only an informal assessment that they said that records won't be as stellar as for 2020 of the stalemate of the athletes transitioning from the 2020, their programs for the 2020, and then they will add another training cycle in order to make it compatible for the 2021. So it will be really a test on how, especially like you, to really connect this kind of situation in terms of preparations. So while Andrew is preparing his third question, of course, we will like also to inform our audience that you can comment or shout out on our Facebook page and also in Zoom, so you can type in your questions for the next 45 minutes as Natalie will join us for an hour or so on our special edition of the Track Talk. So to continue, Andrew, your next question or comments?
Oh yeah. So the next question is, I'm guessing for Natalie, is at the age of 25, 26. Like the question is, Up to what? I mean, how many years in total from now do you think you'll be continuing with the pole vault event?
That kind of depends. It depends kind of on my success and just how sustainable life is doing this. It's not the most sustainable financially, and
Yeah, those
so
poles cost a lot, especially if
poles
they
cost a lot.
snap.
Yes,
Living costs a lot.
one snap is like $500 if I'm not mistaken, or one even up to how much is the average cost there of the poles? $500.
Yeah, $500 to $800 per
Oh,
pole.
so it's like Philippine audience. It's like 25 to 30,000 pesos on one
Yeah.
pole. So that's
Yeah.
how expensive.
Having stayed and like been friends a long time with Emerson Obiena, like I mean, it's the most expensive event I think out of all the out of all those track events. It's the one that costs that costs the most.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Andrew. So,
So
yes, go on. Sorry.
so I was just saying, just basically the sustainability of this lifestyle. If I can sustain it, if I continue to be successful and I'm seeing those marks, I'm jumping higher, then of course the drive to continue for a longer amount of time will definitely be I'll be more motivated to continue jumping. But if things don't go well, we'll see. Might be time to take a different life path later on.
Okay, so while Andrew's preparing his another set of questions, shout outs to our participants. Gian Albert De Lima joining us. Of course, this is a question from Gab Ferreras. What will be your next competition? You can answer that in a few seconds. Lawrence Pacalinaw also join us. And of course, Philippine Handball Federation coach for beach handball, Yana Frankeli. Thank you. Yana, one of my schoolmates at the University of the Philippines College of Human Kinetics during my Master of Human Movement Science days, and also Yob Kosare of Muntinlupa Sports. So, of course, to accommodate the first question on Facebook by Gab, could you specify, just in case, what would be your next move or competition, just in case?
Yeah, my next competition will be this Saturday in Atlanta, the Atlantic Track League, or Atlanta Track League. I'll be competing here in Atlanta on Saturday. So
nice. That would be interesting to see. So once the results are out, whatever the chances is, so let us know so that we can really broadcast it on Pinoy Athletics and also to our friends from different media in the Philippines.
yes, of course.
Yes. Okay, Andrew. So go on, continue.
Next question is it's probably already been asked on that the last time you interviewed Natalie, but I'd just like to expand on the question further. So this is like sort of stepping back a bit, Natalie. My query is, what age were you when you started pole vaulting, and who were your like the people you looked up to, or your your so-called heroes in the sport?
Yeah, so I started pole vaulting when I was 17. So my third year in high school. And the people I looked up to a girl named Katie Najat. She's one of the leaders in the pole vault world. And I also looked up to, of course, Yelena Isinbayeva, who has the world record, the current world record. Let's see who else I really look up to. Elisa Mack, she's one of the athletes from New Zealand. I really like the way that she competes, the way that she holds herself during competition, the composure that she brings to the competition. I think I look at the way they are as a person, as well as how they compete, as to how I look up to them.
Okay, that would be, thank you for that of your role models. As we mentioned most of the time to our youth, that it's important that they really see whom they want to aspire and who they really want to look up to. Because of
Right.
course we have our roster of national athletes, and I must say that the most important thing, especially now that it's very ironic that of course athletics is the centerpiece of most of the events in major competitions, Southeast Asian Games, Asian Games, and of course the Olympic Games. Yet we notice, of course, in our country that of course the following or the audience participation or the audience draw of Philippines is still very limited. So we hope that, of course, through the way we are doing the track talk, that we can really introduce that this is our champions, this is our role models in athletics that we can aspire to. Andrew?
Um, sorry, I I was just a bit lagged there. I was just looking at the live stream.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yes,
Yeah.
further questions or anything you'd like to share?
No, I've sort of asked quite a few questions. I hadn't really prepared too much. I just had those questions.
Okay, yes. So I guess it's my turn now. So,
Yeah.
of course, we are having also on board is Mr. Albert Briones. Albert Briones, if you can type your questions or comments, you can now. Well, of course, I think we can hold you for I guess in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So this is very a quick roundup of what you did last time. So it means, Andrew, that she equaled the Southeast Asian record in women's pole vault, if I'm not mistaken, because I haven't read.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, because like Chinisa had jumped 4 meters 30 as well. So yeah.
okay, yeah. So
So even
and then
if she goes 4 meters 31, even if she goes 4 meters 31 on Saturday, then she basically just gets sole ownership of that record. No, I'm talking about the Southeast Asian record, not the SEA Games record. She's already got that. So like the Southeast Asian record, which is the total record of Southeast Asia.
yes, yes. And so far, how many meters do you need to jump in order to qualify for the Olympic Games, Natalie?
Well, automatic qualifier will be 4 meters 70.
Mm-hmm.
But there also is a way to get into the Olympics through world ranking if you're top 32 in the world. So I would still have a good shot if I jump 4 meters 55, 4 meters 60, I think. If I jump those at
Yes.
the right meets, at a big, if there's, I'm not really sure. Andrew, maybe you know this, what competitions are coming up this year? What major competitions are coming up this year? Do you know?
Not really. It's like all a bit of a blur because of the COVID. I mean, like again, in Europe, one of the challenges would be as well in selecting meets is which one of them's which ones have pole vault for women at them. Like I mean, I guess not all meets would have like all those European meets would have women's pole vault as part of
Well,
their
I know that,
program.
like, for example, there were supposed to be Asian indoor championships, right?
But
This
yeah,
year, but
yeah,
obviously those got canceled.
yeah, they were supposed to be earlier in the year, and they got pushed through. I think they got pushed to next year, or
Yeah.
they got. I'm not sure if they got totally cancelled. I think they might have been just pushed forward a year or something.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully there'll be some opportunities to compete in Asia at some point this year. I think would be really, really good and exciting.
Tentatively on the schedule, I mean, it should be the Asian Championships in 2021 because the Asian Championships are every 2 years and they were held in 2019. So they should,
Right.
If the COVID thing settles down a bit, it should push through for next year.
Right.
mm-hmm. Yes, so far, as I mentioned earlier, that there will be continental tour gold standard at the Czech Republic in September 8th. So I hope that you can also try to reflect on that. That's also a very big event. EJ competed there last year. I was not there, so that could be another thing that you can well, if possible, of course. So and all, I think the one in Gateshead, the Diamond League, was already canceled. But then we're still waiting if the Diamond League will be Monaco this August, and we as I mentioned, of course, here in August 19 in Hungary, I'm sure there's also um, the Gulay Istvan Memorial in Székesfehérvár. I can share you the links just in case you really want to look at it. Okay, so we're almost at end of our quick report for this. So we will wait for we will look again on our questions on board, and then for the next 10 minutes. So I guess we can wrap up this for the day. So yes, next competition.
Ernell,
Yeah.
I've looked at I've just had a quick browse of the world rankings last year for the women's pole vault.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's correct about 456, 455 is like from last year is the top 32 is around 456, 455 in the world rankings. My query is though, like I don't fully understand the secondary qualification system. As in some events, it's a little bit complicated. Like for example, the women's marathon. I mean, they have to run at some meets to get points or something like that. It's a really not as cut and dry qualification system as the the outright qualification. But my query is, so if they rank top 32 in the world, take into account that there is in the rankings there is about like what looks like 8 to 10 athletes from the United States, and of course only 3 athletes get to go to the 3 or 4 for 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
4 if the defending champion, so 3 get to go to the US. So you meaning to say that you have to rank top 32 even if a country has more than 3 in the top 32?
Well, yeah, that's kind of where it's a little bit blurry because, yeah, if there's more than 3 Americans or if there's more than 3 Russians, those spots will be open. So it could be maybe not even top 32, top 38, top 40 almost.
Yeah, so with that logic, just having a brief look at the list, it brings the qualification more down to around the 440 mark instead of the 455 to 456 mark. It looks like more like 445 based on last year's rankings.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think there are something to really look forward on the competition in Atlanta? So is there anyone like big names that will join the event based on forecast, or it's still really on the usual level of participants in the event in Atlanta for this weekend? Do you have already some prior information or assessment?
Yeah, there will be some competitive Americans at the meet for sure. Some 4-meter 40 girls. I'm not sure if Katie will be jumping, but there should be some good competition. So I should have something to motivate me for sure.
Wonderful.
Is Jennifer Suhr still competing, or has she retired?
Yeah, she's still competing. Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't competed against her yet,
She
but she's still going, I know.
Okay. Will she be in Atlanta, or do you know if she'll be attending that meet on Saturday?
Atlanta. I'm not really sure where she's based. I think maybe in Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Would Sandy Morris be competing again this weekend?
No, she won't be competing this weekend. No.
Okay. What about Katie Nagiot, the one
Katie Najat? Najat.
Yeah.
I think she just competed on Wednesday, and so she'll take this Saturday off. I think she might compete next Wednesday. I'll compete next Wednesday as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let us do a quick roundup on our participants on Facebook. So I guess there are not much further questions. So again, I would like to thank Gian Albert, Gab, Lawrence, Coach Jan Frankeli of the women's of the Handball Federation, Philippine Handball Federation, and also Job Cosare Muntinlupa Sports for tuning us. So I guess we covered enough for today's final message for our participants, Natalie, or any final message that you'd like to share, especially for our young athletes.
Yeah, I just kind of always like to remind young athletes just to keep working hard and keep your eyes on the prize, and don't get distracted by or unmotivated by some of the obstacles that come in the way, but just keep your eyes forward and keep working as hard as you can, and the results will come.
Andrew, before we call it a day.
Sorry?
Sorry, Andrew. I have any other comments or anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Natalie for taking the time to talk with us today about her Olympic journey, and wish her all the best of luck.
Thank you,
For
Andrew.
the next 12 months.
Okay, so so that ends our Track Talk Special Edition for Pinoy Athletics on this day, Thursday, July 23, 2020. Thank you for joining us. Again, join us for next Tuesday, same time, 2 p.m. Philippine time, for another roundup of the latest for Philippine athletics and all over the world. Again, this is Coach Airnel of the University of Physical Education in Budapest, Hungary. And with me is Andrew Perry of Level 3 Australian Track and Field Coaches Association Coach Andrew Perry, saying thank you, God bless, mabuhay, ingat po tayong lahat. We're signing off.
Thanks, everyone.